signed up is now.
It was 1 second on there.
Yep.
Damn it! Then we had all this chat and stuff going on too. Are we live now? I said start recording. We weren't recording.
Well, now you're recording it onto the computer too, so that's good. So.
How about if I just let you do that part?
No,
I won't
okay.
do that part anymore.
No,
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
I see people.
I'm glad you just didn't click over, like you stopped it and then went over there. So
I decided to be the boss and I hit the wrong button. I apologize. We kicked everybody out.
Yep. So all you guys over there on the other live.
Melanie got in boss mode and just started clicking buttons she should not have been clicking. Apologize for that. Okay, are we
Can't
live?
hear me. Can you hear me now?
Oh. Let's see.
Let me see.
Can you guys hear us?
I should be coming in loud and clear now. Hopefully.
Oh, can you turn the sound up that you're saying? I'm like literally making out with this microphone. Volume. Can you hear us?
I can hear us fine, but doesn't mean they can.
You were very quiet. Yeah, that's so weird. Why? You can turn it up right here.
Nope, I got it up right here.
Here, can you all hear us now? Okay. I can hear you very well. Thank you. Okay, we are live. Yes, we are good. Yes. Why am I not seeing us that we're live online? That's so
because you're probably connected to the old one that you closed down.
Okay, so Cory and I have a little bit of sarcasm going on and some bantering going on back and forth because when I get like busy or get rushed. Oh, thank you, Kimberly. Thank you for that super chat. I think that's a super chat. Then I get bossy, and then Cory gets poor guy. He gets all right. Mom's in a mood. Let's just let her do her thing. So yeah, I'm not seeing that we're live. How are you seeing that? I'm like, what the heck are we doing here? Oh, there we go.
She has the patience of Job.
I have no patience. No patience whatsoever. My volume is on full and it's still quiet.
Is it? Okay, I'm going to turn her up.
Cory's trying to mute me today because it's been a morning. So, are we both? Can we turn it up right here or no?
Sure. Yeah, try it.
There, can you guys all hear?
I just don't want to get too echoey, so.
Yeah.
You guys tell me. We'll play with it. I'm coming in.
There. How is that better? So we turned it up on a couple of different places. Yeah, super quiet. I have no patience either. Thanks, Karen. When I get going, sometimes I'm just like, let's get this done right now. And then I get like hyper focused and then, yeah. And then I usually have to repeat whatever I've done maybe once or twice. And Cory's like, or you could slow down and just do it the right way the first time. And I'm like, what? Why would we do that? That's way too easy. So, but how's everybody doing? Hopefully everyone saw this last episode because we have some things to talk about on this last episode. We did a TikTok live and we added, but I just barely, TikTok like held onto that live all day yesterday and wouldn't let me download it. So I just got it downloaded this morning and then uploaded back to YouTube, and we had some questions come on there, and I'm like definitely wanting to talk about a couple of those things.
So her patience is YouTube's fault right now.
Feels like
they took a day and a half to give her her download. So
I was so annoyed with them. I'm like,
Hi,
what
guys.
is happening? Thank you guys so much. We've got so many people on here right now. That's awesome. Thank you. So yeah, this latest episode of Sister Wives is so like mind-blowing. We have been literally talking about this and dissecting this for 2 days now because both of us, there was a lot about this episode that did not sit well with either of us. Mm-hmm. And so, sorry, babe. I definitely got a little too impatient with Cory right before the live. You good?
Yeah, I'm doing
good.
great.
We're
I'm reading comments.
Cory's like, I'm getting coffee, woman. So, but yeah, it was definitely this has definitely been an episode where we were just, and Cory actually came up with some really good ideas as to why he felt like it, that I wanted him to explain, because he has a different. I love that Cory has such a healthy perspective of the man side, the men's side of this, because as women, when you come from a cult that is very patriarchal, it's very easy to find yourself a victim in a lot of everything that's happening. And so it's so refreshing to have somebody who has healthy masculine energy be able to go, hey, this might be a contributing factor as well. And so that's not nefarious coffee, Cory. Yeah, Cory had I was like, what are you doing? It's 2:00.
Good.
Get in here. Let's go. And he was like, I'm getting something, woman. I'll be right there. So
didn't say it like that. I was just like, hey, I'll be right there. Getting my coffee. Hold on.
I heard him say, I'm getting something, woman. I'll be right there. So yeah, it's so. I really appreciate. So we'll have Cory. I think you should start out with your perspective on why. It's the perspective on why the conversation between Cody and Aurora felt so yucky to us.
Yeah. And it's just my perspective on it. We grew up in a society where it felt like most of the men were constantly in dating mode. I definitely learned to go into dating mode. I didn't have a wife. I didn't have a wife and a family, but I was in dating mode as a young man, and then I got out of it. I got tired of dating. I hated dating and getting to know, and I felt like that I got into a safe mode where I wasn't looking for somebody to be in a partner with, and along comes Melanie, and
changed his whole world.
Yeah, but I could be myself. I could be, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, when they are in dating mode, can be in creepy.
Well, especially because of the religion that we grew up in.
Yeah.
These men never get out of dating mode.
They never are.
It's always, that's why when you hear Cody say, yeah, I had this long stare with Robin across the room, almost to an uncomfortable point, like what if she was somebody else's wife? It almost didn't matter to him if she was someone else's wife. And so you've got like these men who literally will be in date mode for their entire life.
Their entire life. They're always looking for somebody else to add to their kingdom, add to their family. Everybody's a perspective. And I feel like then there's other people that are very satisfied with the relationship that they have. They want to be monogamous. So they're not looking at the female, especially the young girls, as a dating prospect or adding to their kingdom, if you will. And so I don't know if my perspective of Cody was just because I've seen so many men within these groups that are constantly looking for anybody to be in their family, even if they're young and older men. And so I had I was more in protective mode, I feel like, with my daughters, that I didn't want them around those creepy men. So I created, if you will, a safe space for my daughters, that I don't want these. I communicated with them. I loved them. I didn't want them around creepy people. And so I created a safe place and a protection for my daughters, for my sons, how to treat women, stuff like that. So,
well, and it's true from a girl's perspective. If a man came up to you and talked to you, like at a dance, because we did a lot of community dances, we did a lot of community activities, you never knew what their intention was. Was your intention to get to know me because I'm a potential wife? Or is your intention to get to know me because, you're friends with my dad, or you need a favor from my dad? In this community, in this religion, it's a constant, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. It's very, we see it in our politics. We see it in so much of our society where people so often aren't nice just to be nice. They're nice because they want something from you. And so that's what feels when especially somebody like Cody, who, hit on Robin 10 years younger than himself. He's got that creeper mode on all the time because he just never knows, is he going to find a woman across the room that he's going to give a lightning bolt to? And so you just never know. Now, not saying that that's Cody's intention here with Aurora, but that energy tends to stick on you until you learn how to get rid of it. Because when you're in a polygamous community, every woman is a potential mate. Even if they're already married, they're a potential mate. And so that's why I guess that feels so creepy. And when Cory was explaining this to me, we're walking through Costco and he's explaining it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is perfect. Like, that's exactly what it is the fact that, one of it is, Cory did teach our boys, our girls are safe around our boys. And our girls were safe around Cory. And that's why, like, my daughter can hug Cory the same way Aurora hugged Cody, and it feels completely different. And it's because Cory hasn't been in creeper date mode his entire life.
And that you're trained as in a polygamist to be constantly in date mode. And when you shut that off and are no longer interested in getting other wives and things like that, then I feel like all of a sudden the creepy part of it goes away, where these guys are goofy teenagers around, or kind of that creepiness instead of more of a protected father type of an attitude. So
right.
And somebody asked in here, do many men
do men in the AUB ever marry stepdaughters? We were debating on whether we wanted to answer this question or not, but here, come back into the camera just a little bit more.
Oh, sorry. The answer to that is yes.
Yes, that does happen.
So, and not that, do they marry? So my father married a woman, and she had a stepmother from a previous marriage.
So she wasn't her bio mother?
No. So her dad had died. She married my dad. Her dad had died, and so my dad took into his family the stepmother, and we called her grandma. And that's, I guess, acceptable, more acceptable and stuff like that. But the opposite happens sometimes too, where somebody will marry a wife that have the wife, and they will try to also date the kid, the daughter that has come into the family, 16, 17, 18-year-old. And that's not good. That's the ick factor again. And so, yes, we have
happened in Cory's own family. So
personally know of experiences of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my mom said that she has always knew her daughters were safe with Cory. Thank you.
Oh, that's because I got out of date mode at probably 24. I was done dating.
I had to beg Cory to date me.
Yeah, I was no longer looking. I was happy to be a bachelor for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I knew my dad's seed would be passed on. He had plenty of children, so I had no... Yep, it's Tom Green stuff.
It is Tom Green stuff.
I had zero respect for that man. And a lot of the men within the AUB.
That's why Cory got up and walked out of it.
Very rude.
He is.
Very non-social to some of the people within the AUB and other groups that I know that I grew up with. So I have zero tolerance for them. So
Cory literally walked out of a dinner that we were at. Tom Green showed up with two of his wives. And it was a dinner that I had put together with one of my other friends, and he was with, she invited Tom Green. We were all at this big, huge polygamous fundraiser thing, and so he ends up showing up at the restaurant, and Cory, absolutely not. Cory got up and walked out of the restaurant and was like, "It was nice to meet you, my friend." And we got up and walked out because Cory, he just doesn't have any tolerance for that kind of energy at all.
And I won't let that kind of energy in those people around my daughters.
Right.
So yes, I've raised up my children away from the AUB. So
Yeah.
and there's a whole belief system around that. So generationally, I've not only damned myself, but I've damned my generation below me. So it's
it is. That's
amazing teachings.
It definitely does contribute to that ick factor, because when you are literally in date mode your entire life, and Cory had completely stopped dating when I asked him out. You were 29, huh? And I was like, hey, do you want to go out with me? And he was like, absolutely. You're married. I'm not going out with you. It was not a pretty sight, because then he instantly lost his mind and got all uncomfortable and all like, but one of the things he was pointing out yesterday at the store when we were walking is the fact that he was saying, he's known my daughter since she was 3. Yeah. And she would run around our houseboat and she would say, Cory's my boyfriend, because she was like, she felt so safe around him. And so there was zero ick factor there. He's like, I've known this little girl and she's loved and adored me since she was 3 years old. How on earth could I ever think of adding any other level of energy to that? And so, but, you're always in date mode. I mean, my dad just married one of my best friends from when I was 16 years old, and we were best friends the majority of my life. And, there's a big, huge age gap there. And so I feel like that is why everyone's seeing this ick factor with Cody Brown and Aurora, because Cody's got to clean up that energy, that not every woman out there is an available woman for him to date.
Yeah.
Even, and I'm not saying that Cody looks at Aurora as a dateable woman. That's not it. But when you have that energy of every woman could be a potential mate for you, that's going to leak out into every woman. So
that's ick energy.
Very much so. Thank you. DS, thank you for that $20 super chat. It says, no one admits that the entire Brown family gave up on polygamy. Cody no longer wanted equal wives. The wives no longer wanted Cody to be a patriarch with the right to put them to pasture. Amen. Right? And the kids no longer satisfied with a part-time dad.
Yep.
And this is what happens too when they leave the AUB and they're exposed to the world and they see, I don't have to be treated like this. I don't have, like, the way we grew up, this is standard treatment. And so we don't know any better. We don't know that we could be treated better. We don't know that we could be loved better. And then when they get out there and they see that, they don't want to be a part of that anymore. What were you going to say?
Well, just growing up in a polygamous family as a child, it feels like you grew up in a broken family or a divorced family. So to have them shift into this new role, especially, it's kind of interesting. A lot of the work that needs to be done to repair relationships with parents usually is put on the shoulders of the children if they want to create that.
Yeah. And you see Cody do that in this episode where he's like, my door's open, my hand is out,
come to me,
but I will never let go of the hand of Robin. And if they want this love and affection, they have to come to me to get it. And so you're absolutely right. It's put on the children to have a relationship with the parents if they want one.
And I've got brothers and sisters that have chosen to try to repair those relationships, but others that are just like, you know what, I'm good with not having that relationship, and I'll just have relationships with my siblings. So I respect both of those decisions. So.
And honestly, in my family, we've gone back and forth. I've gone to points where I'm just like, I take a step back. I don't have anything to do with my mom or my dad. And I mean, I haven't done that with my mom for a long time, but with my dad, I obviously recently have. And so you definitely have those moments where you have to take a step back, because there's so much energy going on with so many different personalities. It can get overwhelming. What were you to say?
Nothing.
Were you reading a question that you wanted to answer?
Yeah, just yes and no. Does he look at, the thing is there's never going to be that and again, I don't know their situation. I don't know if it's just made up for TV, but there was an ick factor to me with watching that connection, and I don't know what it was.
But your dad never, oh, I thought you were talking about your dad. I'm like, but your dad never married her. They just wanted to. Yeah. And all the wives said, absolutely not. She was raised as a daughter. There's no way that you're going to marry her. She wanted to marry him, and he wanted to marry her. And all of Cory's other mothers said, absolutely not. No, she was raised as a daughter. That won't happen. And so that relationship was never allowed to happen because of that. But it does, I mean, obviously in the Tom Green situation, that's the most publicized situation.
Yeah, and there's a whole belief system around that some just men, I guess, would feel like that was okay pushing on them.
I know.
So there's some
I think it's gross.
Effed up belief systems within all of these religions. So
until Cody cleans up the energy that he has around every woman, he's going to have that ick factor no matter where he goes, whether it's with Aurora, whether it's with obviously he doesn't have that necessarily with his own biological daughters, because I feel like that's different.
Because they can call him out they have tried to call him out, and he does not like to be held accountable.
Yeah.
And so when he can get this fake love to show on TV, well, I'm not even going to say it's fake love, but it's not
manufactured.
Yeah.
And so
it might be true love there, but
I think it's the reason why is I think it feels so unhealthy too with Aurora and Cody is because they don't know how to love in a healthy manner, because all they've ever seen is toxic love. And so he doesn't know how to love her in a healthy way, or her to love him back in a healthy way. So there's just too much icky factor to it. And so somebody just said, do most men cry over not seeing their stepdaughter who's just downstairs for 10 days? That's weird. So we haven't watched all the seasons, but I think I know what you're talking about, when they had COVID and Aurora hadn't gotten COVID yet. And she was downstairs and Cody was crying on TV because he hadn't even been able to see her for 10 days because she was coming in and out of the basement door, I think.
Okay.
And so, but here that just tells you how emotionally broken this man is, too, because he hadn't seen half of his other kids in how long, and he's not crying over that. So no, that's not healthy. That's not a healthy father-daughter relationship. Because this man doesn't know how to give this even to some of the other children. And that's a question that me as a child raised in this, which I still don't clearly understand, is the fact that why are some children loved so much more than other children? What are you going to say?
Well, there's reasons why. There's definitely some love and adoration put on those children that follow within the faith. Those that question are being led astray, where those children that stay in the faith and follow in the footsteps of their parents definitely, I feel like, get more love, get more. If you're questioning, it's because you're listening to outside sources, evil spirits, whatever their belief system, whatever each parent believes.
Right.
So.
Right. Oh, I just turned it up a little bit more. We're trying to find that tricky volume spot where it's like I'm not overspeaking his mic and he's not overspeaking mine. So hopefully, on the TV, I have a hard time hearing YouTube on my television as well. I have to blast it. So hopefully,
just move this
pull your mic. I just pulled my mic right into my mouth.
So hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm bouncing off the screen here.
Yeah,
so.
we're watching the monitor, and it's our volume is bouncing all over the place. Saying it's really loud.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm curious about too. Somebody says, Melanie, did your ex get a second wife while you were married to him? Sorry if this has been asked, but I'm late. No, he didn't. We actually courted and dated a few different girls, but he did not. I actually said no and didn't let that trigger get pulled, which is one of the reasons I did a couple of podcasts earlier on this channel where I talk about I actually had a suicide attempt. And that was a part of that because he was so angry with me for not allowing him to get another wife, because he deserved that because he was so unhappy with me. And those were his words. He said to me, I'm so unhappy with you. Look at every picture we have together. I deserve to be happy, and you're holding me back. So, nope, we never actually did get another wife. And then before I ended up leaving about 2 years later. So we never did it. But yeah, so what do you...
My judgment on Cody and that ick factor really does come a lot because of other men that I've seen within the AUB. And so there was just, I have judgment that could be related to other people, but I got an ick factor when that happened too.
We did too.
So...
Well, and honestly, I mean, I was 11 years old when I started going to what was called Young Women's, and they would hold it on the same night as priesthood meeting. So you'd have all of the grown men. I've done a couple videos on this already. You have all the priesthood men in the basement of the or the upstairs of the building, and all of the available young women in the bottom of the building. And then we would be paraded, like we'd have to go upstairs to go into a class. You'd be paraded in front of all of these men. And so and all of the Relief Society, so all the married women stayed home with the kids. And so this was basically felt like what was a meat market. And then at the end, we would have like, everybody would get together and they'd socialize, and we'd have a little bake sale, and people would buy, little treats for each other. If you had a girl you liked, you'd buy her a little treat, whatever. And so it was very much a meat market is what it felt like. Well, I started going to that when I was 11. And the first time I went, my dad, 4 or 5 older men asked my dad, when she's ready, I want her in my family when she's ready. I mean, I'm 11 for hell's sakes. And, but I wanted to go to this thing. It was like such a big girl experience to be able to go to this. So this is what we're being taught at 11 years old. You're supposed to be 12 to go, but I was a lot older personality wise, and I memorized a couple of scripture things in order to be able to go early. So and every time we would leave this event, I would get my dad telling me, I had like four men ask about you today again, Mel. And so he would say to me, Melanie's my 10 cow girl. And so I've done a video on, are you a 10 cow wife? And he would say, Melanie's my 10 cow girl. And my other sister, she's just younger than me. She's like 17 months younger than me, had a mouth and was not afraid to bark off at people and yell at people. And so my dad he would say, yeah, she's only my 2 or 3 cow wife because she has an opinion, where I didn't. I did what I was told. I did what I was,
And because we were lower ranked in the AUB, I actually had to pay 20 cows for her. Not that tithing. Or 10%.
Yeah, no, I actually
kidding.
had to pay for you.
Yeah.
So I had 3 kids when we got together. I had to pay for you. But no, you could definitely, did not expect the Johnny Lingo reference. So I had never heard of Johnny Lingo until I posted this video, oh gosh, maybe 10 months ago. And everyone talked about it. So I went and looked up that show. But yeah, literally we would joke about it.
Thank you.
Being, are you a 10 cow wife? And what's sad, yes, thank you so much, Tea Party. Thank you for that. What is my sister, so my dad married a woman when I was 5, and she had a girl who was 4 hours older than me. So we were the same age. We were born on the same day. The doctor went to her delivery and almost didn't make it to my delivery because he was, Christine's grandpa is who delivered us. And so here he was delivering my sister, and then came over and delivered me right after. So her and I and my other sister were all in the car, and we would have arguments, literally not even realizing how sad we sounded in the back seat of the car about, well, Dad said I'm a 10 cow wife, and I was like, you two suck, you're only 3 cow wives. And my sister, who's 4 hours older than me, she's like, whatever, I'm at least an 8 cow wife. I'm like, well, no, you're not, you can't cook. And so I would tell her that she couldn't cook, and my other sister had a loud mouth, and I was just stupidly obedient.
Well, it was how we were raised. It was that was belief systems that we were raised in until we got out and met other worldly people and was like, holy cow, a lot of the crap that we were taught was just crap.
Right.
It was limiting belief systems.
Yeah,
so,
and we believed it.
So that you have to follow the prophet, the priesthood leaders, the stuff like that. So
yeah. Somebody says, wait, the prophet would be in the delivery room. No, he was the prophet and he was a doctor. And so he delivered the majority of the babies in the religion for the longest time, because he was a doctor as well. And so you'll hear about him. If you ever watch that Hulu special, Daughters of a Cult, we've recommended it before. It talks about how he was actually killed, and how the LeBaron group sent someone into his doctor's office and he was killed in his office. So yeah, no, he was not. And then eventually more, like, there was a couple of women who became midwives. So, because everyone had their baby at home. I had all my babies at home. So that's just how it was in the community. You just had your babies at home. What?
Except for one.
Oh, we had one in the hospital, only because my midwife was only delivering and working in the hospital at that time. But we were in there less 20 hours. We went in there, had her, and came straight back home. But yeah, so that he was a chiropractor, right? I don't know if he was a chiropractor. My mom could answer that. Mom, was he a chiropractor, or was he just an herbologist or something like that? My mom said he was one of the finest men she's ever met. He delivered the first 3. Yeah, my mom had 11 children. He delivered the first 3 of her children. So yeah, he was. I don't remember him. He was 5 when I was 5 when he was killed. So I don't really remember him that well. Maybe I was I 5? I think I was 4 or 5. You were 6 or 7, right, when he was killed? He delivered Cory too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was 6.
You were 6? Yeah. So I would have been 4 or 5. But yeah. Oh, love it when the phone rings during a live. Oh shoot, I don't think that was our phone. Hopefully it wasn't one of our phones, hopefully. But yeah, so anyways, this is kind of what we wanted to talk about, because so many people are really like questioning what the it factor was with Cody and Aurora. Do I think that he'll ever marry Aurora? No. I don't think so. I would really struggle to see that.
Well, publicity wise,
yeah, he would be crucified.
I don't think they would make it public at all if that was the case, but I don't think he would either. He's made all of his intentions that he wants to be a monogamist and be a monogamist with Robin and Robin only. So
at least for now.
Yeah, she's the one that pushes words that they want to, asking those questions, because that's what a good loyal sister wife does, is ask, should we be another polygamist in another polygamist situation. But all of her actions have proven that she doesn't want that she ignores the sister wife that's supposed to be her best friend. She ignores him for months on end and just hangs out with her true soulmate. So her actions say she doesn't want to live polygamy ever again. Cody's verbally saying he doesn't want to ever live polygamy again. So I trust him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I don't trust a word that comes out of her mouth. So
yeah. Robin's mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She says the exact opposite of a lot
everything
of things
she does. Yeah.
Doing,
yeah.
so.
It's hard to watch.
Based on my viewing of the TV show.
Yeah.
I don't know her in person.
Based on the
knew
editing
the family
that we
growing
see.
up, but don't know her in person.
Yeah.
We'll never know her in person again. So
right.
Or Cody. So I would walk out of any situation that we're in. I wouldn't be social to them. So.
I know. I probably would. I'd probably walk right up to Cody and be like, "What the fuck are you thinking?" There would be my F word would slip out. My Tourette's would kick in. Somebody says, "You're all helping me heal. Religious trauma is so complex. Sadly, it's prevalent in so many churches and most denominations. I was in a non-denominational church, Word of Faith." Thank you. I'm glad. Yeah. I'm glad that really is our goal in being able to speak out. And really, we talk about sister wives because it gives us context to be able to talk about the things that we experienced. And so really that is why we talk about the Sister Wives show, because it's not something it's not our favorite subject, but that's what the world knows, and so that's why we talk about it. But
we grew up in a society, and as I started to learn that I didn't want to be a part of that society, and I wanted to learn what were those flaws, what did I want to become, what was the positive person that I wanted to become, and what were the negative dogmas that I was raised with that were not serving me and making me a good person. I didn't want those things in my life. And so as I went into the next religion, I saw all of the exact same negative dogmas. I mean, the Mormon church, and I got family in that.
Yeah.
They're the original. They're had all the original teachings that the AUB follows. And so they have cleaned it up, followed the living prophet. They've cleaned up stuff, but the base core dogmas are still there. And so I left that, and then I just left. And as I've studied, I don't want to be part of an organized religion that teaches any sort of shame or fear or anything like that. I don't want that in my life. And so it's not even religions either. So it's different
it's just
things.
Shame and guilt that we definitely
guilt, fear. I don't want to be afraid of the scary world because of this or because of that. I want to be a calm, peaceful, happy, loving person.
So somebody says, do you think that they're actually going to allow the girls to go to a church that is not Mormon, or is it for the show? How would Cody feel not knowing that his authority was threatened? I think that they're going to an actual church too. That happens a lot. You would be surprised at how many, like out of my dad's 34 children that I grew up with, only about 4 or 5 of them are still in the religion. The rest have either joined the Mormon church or a Christian church, of non-denominational Christian church of some sort. And, for my dad, that is definitely one of the most important things. He had to come to a conclusion of just wanting his children to believe in Christ. And so he has actually gone to their baptisms. I think he might have been to 1 or 2 since he's been the prophet or the leader. I think he's been to 1 or 2 of those, but he will go to those kind of oh my gosh, what's the word? It skipped my mind. Like ordinances or those types of, what? Oh my God, my mind went blank. Because baptism is an ordinance. Ordinance. So he'll go to those types of things because he wants to still be a part of his kids' lives. Well, some of them. And so definitely he will be a part of that kind of stuff. And so I think that some people, they would rather their kids at least go to something that believes in Christ rather than just be nothing at all. And so I think that's really important. Some people. Not everyone.
Yeah.
A lot of people really struggle, and then they'll just write their family off. They'll just write their kids off, or they'll write their family off, and they won't have anything to do with them. So it just depends on the family. That's the problem, is when you get like a blanket statement over, well, the AUB teaches that, AUB does this, or AUB, are AUB white supremacists? Do they teach that? No. But are some people in there that way? Yes. And so it's an individual. When you get on these fringe religions, you're always going to have fanatical, even more fringe people that are in these communities than you do mainstream.
It even goes deeper than that. I think they're more than, they are religious supremacists. They believe that their line is the most supreme, and that's why you see groups out there that actually inbreed to keep their genetics clean from
I don't think there's as much inbreeding in the AUB as there are in some other groups, but there is some, and we've seen it.
They want to keep their lineage clean.
And what's funny too,
outsiders.
Well, and so my parents both converted in. Cory's parents both converted in. So we have the only relation I have is through marriage, through like other mothers. But yeah, it's funny. We've been gone for so long, and then we'll see a picture of somebody, and I'm like, I can guess who that kid's parents are just by the way that kid looks, because it's so prominent in the way that they look, and you can see it's like the family trees don't branch a ton. Like they're not terrible, but they definitely don't branch a lot. Somebody says, oh shoot,
they believe in generational blessings and generational curses. And so they're so judgmental of everybody outside of their generation. If they can trace their stuff back to Joseph Smith or even further, then that's a lineage that needs to be kept clean and pure. Yeah. Gentiles.
Yeah.
From those people who have they believe that if somebody has joined a church, so because I was born within the correct church and I have chosen to leave it, my generations will be cursed for 7 generations.
Right.
So, and yes, my great grandkids might come in, but then they've got to be faithful to the church for 7 generations to get those blessings back that I have thrown asunder.
Yeah, and it's true. Well, and I'm even worse off than Cory, because I did go through the temple and I did go through the endowment house and was given all of the blessings and then chose to leave. So I'm in a worse position than Cory is for that reason.
And the curse that's placed upon us is placed upon our kids.
Yeah.
So they will have to, but of course we raised them to not want to be a part of their little make-believe world of Dungeons and Dragons. So.
Oh my gosh. Somebody says hi from Montana up there in the snow. I'm like, Cory's whole family, well, majority of his family lives in Montana. So yeah, a couple of his sisters posted some pretty pictures today. It looks beautiful up there.
Yeah.
Someone says Mormons don't practice polygamy. Well, they did. That was where polygamy came from. That was where it was originally founded. And so, I mean, people in the church have whatever opinion they want to have about it, and some people have very strong opinions about it. But the Mormon religion did start the practice of polygamy up in America again. And so, I mean, that's the thing. That's just how it is.
The original doctrine, the original Mormon doctrine, is what the AUB, the FLDS, is that not
FLDS,
That's weird. Didn't sound right. Them, the Kingstons, they are all living what they feel like is the original Mormon doctrine. And yes, the Mormons have changed their doctrine because it gave most people the ick factor. And so they have changed that over the generations. And a lot of times, if you're in the Mormon church and you're looking too deep into the original, that's why they like that you follow the living prophet. The living prophet has got, and he can get updates from God that says, okay, no more polygamy. Everybody's welcome into the church since 1978. They've changed and updated their belief systems. They've changed the original ordinances in the temple. So they're changing stuff to be
more mainstream.
Yeah, more acceptable, more palatable to the outside
and
world.
That's one of the biggest reasons the polygamist people feel like they are the more superior breed to Mormons, is because they're living all the original doctrines. Thank you. Why are we both stuttering over words today? But yeah, and that's why
we deleted this stuff 35 years ago. We're trying to bring it back in to talk to you guys.
So that's why there's some superiority there, is because they do feel like they're doing the real work of Joseph Smith. Now, whether you believe that or not is irrelevant. That's what they think, and that's what they believe.
What they're believing.
Right. So. Yeah. And so that's just how it is. So we had a couple of questions that I screenshotted.
Words are hard.
I know, words are hard for us today. What the heck? Okay, so somebody asked this question earlier on one of my videos, and I wanted to kind of address it. Is it frowned upon and not encouraged to be loving towards a wife? Could that be one of the many reasons why Cody keeps screaming about not being sorry for being in love with Robin and making that a big thing?
Yes, based in their belief systems, he was supposed to. You're not supposed to favor one wife or over the other if you're living it correctly, and you should show minimal affection to each one of them. And so it's like this downplayed affection because you are righteous, worthy.
Because our goal here in life is not to be physically affectionate with each other. Physical affection is meant for reproducing children, and that's it. And that's the only thing. And if you want to have the most righteous seed or the most righteous generation children, then you're only intimate to procreate and have children. That's it. You're not intimate, and you don't have intimate relationships with each other for just the pleasure of it. It is to have children. And we've talked about this on a couple of other lives too. And, a lot of people really hold strong to that. And so there isn't a lot of physical affection that goes on between spouses because of that reason. Is it because you want the most righteous seed? And if you can get rid of the temptation and the desire and the temptation to have physical pleasure, then now you are, now you've conquered not only your jealousy emotions, you want to be part of a group that your self-serving emotions. So now you're not jealous, you're not self-serving, and now you've gotten rid of your desire for physical. You are just like one step away from God.
Yeah, you're a prophet.
And so to me, I'm like, wow, I did not know. Like when I have children, I watch my children and I want them to enjoy. If I get them an ice cream cone, I want them to enjoy the pleasures of life. I want them to enjoy that ice cream. I want them to enjoy the toy. If I take them to an amusement park, I want them to have fun on that roller coaster. And it seems like in this religion that we were raised in, all of that was taken away. It was like, no joy, no fun, no anything ever.
All right.
And so, it is definitely, you don't, so somebody says you don't come out of the bathroom with a towel flexing. No, I literally threw up a little bit in my mouth when that scene came on. I'm like, I don't ever want to picture that or ever imagine that in any way.
Okay, Laura asked the question. I have such a problem with these groups having 30 plus children and the toll it has on the earth. Yeah. How do you feel about that amount of children the AUB has? The reason that they're doing that, the belief system that they have behind having so many children is they are supposed to create a righteous generation. And statistically, my dad had 39. There are what I would call 3 that still have, and that's only, that's less than 10%. That they retain in there. And so they're having children hoping that they pass it on to the next generation and that those generation have it, so that they're creating this righteous seed that will bring back the second coming of Christ. And so it's pounded into them from a very young age that's what you want to do. You want to get married and have children raised up. And when you do that, when you have that many children, it's difficult to, first of all, raise us, love us.
How can you can't give individual attention.
So you grow up as a child in there as just a number.
Right.
And so, and so then I grow up going, wait a minute, the little bit that I get, I would rather have a couple kids and pour that love out onto them and let them know that they're loved and I'm proud of them and all of that stuff. Because when a kid does, through learning experiences of watching these parents that are trying their best, but there's too many of us, then they would I don't know.
Yeah.
As soon as they're disappointed in you, you are kind of
Written off.
getting less. And so it's hard when you grow up in a society where the minute you mess up once or you don't do exactly what you're told or you have a question, then hey, they're raising these other kids that they're proud of that are eating up the doctrine. So
yeah. And what's funny to me is that, but you know, my mom's on here too watching, but it's funny because my parents would say to us, do you want us to give one of them back? I'm like, yeah, I can think of a few I'd give back. You know, and so they'd say, well, which ones would you pick? I'd give off a list. Yeah, well, you got 40 of us, so I'm pretty sure that a few of us could go and no one would notice. Yeah. So no, we flippantly joke about that, but it's true. I absolutely agree. I think that when you cannot supply even food or shelter for your children, it's irresponsible to have that many children. It's irresponsible to have to rely on another community or to rely on, but I have been told that I have toxic levels of accountability because I think people should be accountable for their own, like if you have your children, you take care of them, not somebody else, and not the government, not this, you know, this. And yes, I agree that it takes a village to raise children, and I've so been appreciative of the people that I have been able to step in and help, and the people who have stepped in and helped me with my children. But this excessive amount, it's like, it's almost like we have so many that we have throwaways.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't need those ones, you know, because we've got these ones.
Yeah.
And when I got divorced, I was 25. I had a 1-year-old. I had 3 small children, and I was 25 years old when I got divorced. And I got married to Cory at 27. And my dad didn't bother to come to our wedding, but he says to me at a later time, oh, phew, I'm so glad you're taken care of now. I didn't want to have to put you on my child. You know, that's one less child that I can put on the list of kids I have to worry about. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? You never had to worry about me. And he was like, yes, I need to make sure that you and your kids are okay. You know, and no, you don't. When have you ever done that? When have you ever worried about me like that? And so it is very frustrating to watch the excessive amount of children, and some of them are just pushed to the wayside. They're not nurtured, they're not loved, and so I don't understand that mentality. Yes, they might be nurtured and loved by the mothers, but they're not by the fathers. They're not getting that masculine energy in their life that they deserve. And so they're not seeing healthy relationships. And so then they're going and they're getting in other relationships that aren't healthy because they don't even know how to get in a healthy relationship. So here, this kind of question kind of like piggybacks off that last one. It says, I've noticed that Cody's way of hitting back on the original moms is to ignore the children that they share together. It makes me sick that he only missed the attention and the love that the children gave him. He didn't actually miss their presence in his life. Yeah, that's a big one right there. He still found a way to make it all about him. He is selfish, insecure, and constantly wanting validation from everyone. So that is very true statement. I have experienced this firsthand. My dad gets annoyed with my mom, and who does he take it out on? Me. I have, you know, my mom is on here. I don't know if she feels like chiming in on the chat about this, but this is very, very common for a man to get irritated or frustrated with a woman, and her kids can then just piss off. He has no interest in them. And that's what it is. This goes right back to what I was just saying. There's discardable children, and that doesn't make any sense to me. I could never imagine, you know, we have 5 children. I never intended to have 5 children, but I had 3 when we got married, and then we have 2 together. And that felt more than I could at points handle. But I have tried to make sure that I've had individual relationships with each one. And I don't pick being mean to one of my kids because their dad is being a jerk. And yet I have experienced this firsthand as a child, being raised in this by my own father. So yes, this is very common. Well, your mom's not doing what I've requested of her, and so therefore I can't come over and see you. Sorry. And I've experienced this over and over. I've heard those words literally come out of people's mouths. Sorry, if your mom would fix this, I could come over. I mean, we've seen Cody say that on the show. If your mom would follow the COVID rules, I could come home, but your mom won't, so sucks to be you. Go ahead.
Or schedule stuff. He won't.
Why won't Christine schedule this for me so that I can go see the girls while she's out of town? Yeah. So no, it goes
It's an excuse. He's using that as an excuse so that he can spend more time with Robin. The kids can see that. Everybody can see that. And it is, when a wife has fallen away, their kids almost become second-class citizens within the family.
And we've seen that in very prominent families in the AUB. You know, you've got a bunch of like the big main families like the Allreds, the Jessups, the whatever. Even in those families, you will see one wife who is at the bottom of the totem pole, and so are her children.
Yeah.
And so even the other children, I had siblings from other mothers treat us like we were second-class citizens because their mom was the favorite and our mom wasn't, and we were treated so, and to this day I still get treated this way, especially from one particular sibling who is like, you know, the top of all 34 kids. That person is the best one, and I still to this day get treated like crap from that person
because they're staying in the faith, living in the faith. They have that belief system that they are following too, and they're going to pass that on to the next generation, the next group of kids. And
what's funny too is that it's like, here's what cracks me up, because you'll see this on Sister Wives. We've all seen it. Cody says he has FOMO. So Cory and I are both the oldest of our families. When we built our home 22 years ago, and we built it so that we could accommodate both families. So we built a bigger home. We have a bigger yard. And so we became the place for everybody to come to. We would have the parties here. We would have the Christmas parties, the Halloween parties, the birthday parties, whatever it was. We would do it here. And what was hilarious is there was this one particular person in my family that treated me so poorly my entire life. And yet we would have these parties, and then it was like, well, can we get invited to that party? And it was like, wait, will you let your kids associate with my kids? Is that okay? Even though we're not in the AUB anymore, are you okay with that? And so then I would have these parties, and one time my dad says to me, Mel, will you please put together a party like this for my whole family, because I would like all of my children to experience this kind of a party that you just did for us. And I was like, really, Dad? Like, that's 150 people. I don't really want to do that. But I feel like we have created that environment in our home. And so that FOMO kicks in for these who have for years been so superior and can't have their children associate with our children. And now they're asking to be invited to things. Go ahead.
And have their own private get-togethers or ordinances and
so they'll have their own parties.
And
well, like my dad will have a birthday, and they'll have a birthday party for the righteous kids and their kids. And then it'll be a separate birthday party for the rest of us to be. And then they can opt in or out of that party if they want to. And so they don't have to come if they don't want to. But yeah, when we found that out one year or two, it was really hurtful.
Because apostasy is contagious. It is. It's
like COVID. It gets right in your face.
It does. Apostasy is contagious within the AUB. It really is. So and so they do want to quarantine themselves a lot from us apostates.
Yeah. So there you go.
They want to come and hang out. They're strong enough to come and hang out, but they don't want their kids coming around and hanging out with our kids to see, because they might catch apostasy. So.
Yeah. Well, and my son is the oldest grandchild.
Thank you.
The oldest, well, I guess not. He's the oldest biological grandchild out of all of the grandchildren. And so I am one of the older children, and then I have the oldest grandchildren. So it's just funny. So yeah, I feel like it is very irresponsible to have so many kids that you can't and don't want to be a part of their lives. And so then people like me, who are the oldest, take it upon myself to try to be inclusive to all of my siblings so that they all feel like they belong. And that's the biggest thing. If you ever look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you can Google that on Google. Sense of belonging is one of the foundational, like you've got food, water, shelter, and then you've got belonging. And so I have always felt, as one of the oldest, my responsibility in making a place where my siblings felt like they belonged, because we didn't have that. We didn't always have that. So somebody says a black sheep party. Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's what it was a black sheep party. Mm-hmm. And we only got it if we did it ourselves. We planned it ourselves. So
yeah, we weren't invited to their their temple ceremonies and stuff, so we came and created our own hangout. So it was kind of cool. So
we actually have had a couple people get married in our backyard. I won't even lie.
Yeah.
A couple of us siblings. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I saw it earlier, but I'll just respond. My priesthood is something that you guys all have too. So you guys all have my version of the priesthood, and that's none. It was taken away.
It wasn't. Oh, just from the AUB.
Yeah, but they can all have Gentile priesthood.
He was,
like me.
Yeah.
You guys all have my own Gentile priesthood. I give it all to you guys. So
he's very much like Cody, where he was also baptized in the Mormon Church and then was given the priesthood through the Mormon Church as well.
But I'm sure it's taken away now.
Yeah, it probably is now. I won't even lie. Oh,
I'm an apostate there too, so it's good.
Yeah, so those are some of the things we definitely want to talk about. Let's answer some questions now that I've gone over. I wanted to go over those because they were on
those questions, yeah, those were excellent
pictures that I had done earlier. Let's see, king curls. We're really gonna have to get T-shirts made with the king curls on it. The last couple
I got too busy this last.
Our last 2 months of work have been crazy, we love it.
Which is great.
But I just think, at what point do you give up and stop trying to go for the curls? Like, it looks silly. I don't know. Let's see. Cory is still heartbroken. He lost his invite to the firesides. Yes, he did.
Made my own fireside. Got a fire pit outside.
Yeah. Yeah, granted, as a Gentile, it was easy to embrace apostasy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cory's charm has now convinced me to be an apostate. I will spread the word. So no, I don't feel like we are. We definitely, awesome. I don't feel like try to encourage people to live like wayward lives by any means. Yeah. I feel like we really do try to live integrable, honest lives. We've all had our moments. We've had our moments that are just down in the dumps, and they're dark and they're heavy. But I feel like we do try to find our way back to some kind of light, you know?
Yeah.
Let's see, where did Cody learned something. It says, where did Cody learn this? Taught from birth or Mormon church after he converted to the AUB. Janelle seems lost on how he treats the boys, but Gwen felt it for years. Yeah, I've been really sad. Maybe elaborate on that question a little bit more. I've been really sad to see the way Cody treats his kids, his boys especially.
You learn it from being raised. You're raised on your own, so sometimes you're just raised on your own. You do have mothers that help guide you and do stuff like that, but a lot of times you're raised with your brothers and sisters kind of on your own. You get guidance from mom and dad every once in a while, but you're taught the scriptures, you're taught how to believe, you're taught the gospel over and over again, and those teachings are the same. And I know that people in the Mormon church hate to hear it, but the same in the Mormon church as it is in the AUB. The AUB believes they're just living the higher laws of the Mormon church. So it's...
Well, and I think that's why when you see these interviews with all the teenagers on the couch, and you see Gabe crying and showing appreciation to Hunter. You know, if it wasn't for Hunter, I wouldn't have made this move. And you see that the love and the respect that these kids have for each other, because you really do learn to lean on each other a lot, especially when you do have a situation like Cody's where the father steps out completely. Then I think that's why you'll see these kids love each other so much. And You know, I grew up saying my siblings are my best friends. I have one or two siblings I could do without for sure, and they could do without me. And I get that. But what?
I mean, all my brothers and sisters love me.
I know. Corey goes, not me. All my siblings love me. I don't know why all yours hate you. I'm like, they don't hate me. Just one or two. Well, I mean, I was a mom for a lot of the years. And so yeah, they don't like me sometimes. But I think that's why you see a lot of love and appreciation, and that these kids are such good friends, because we are too. And a lot of times you can't tell what child belongs to what mother, because we all just get along so well. Random, just starting Big Love. Who's the prophet that they may be portraying? Thank you. He's creepy. I don't know, because I feel like
Rulon Jeffs.
Well, Rulon Jeffs, but Rulon Jeffs wasn't that creepy, was he? I don't remember. Alfie, the son, was represented as Warren Jeffs, from my understanding.
Yeah. So they're probably basing it over, and that's what I'm assuming. I was assuming it was Rulon Jeffs, and then his son Alfie is who I was assuming that was being portrayed there, right? Because there's other, but we had AUB had the brothers. This was a father and son, so that's why I assumed. Well,
but Rulon Jeffs was like Warren Jeffs was his son.
Yeah, and same in the movie, so that's why I was assuming.
Oh, I see.
I was assuming it was based off of Rulon Jeffs and Warren Jeffs. So.
Right, yeah. So I don't know exactly, but I mean we watched the series and then tried to guess who was who.
Based
for
off
sure.
On the characters. So.
Yeah.
And I think they just put a whole bunch of different groups together in there too. So.
Oh, absolutely. Like there's people
storylines
from all the
FLDS, stories from the AUB, stories from the Kingstons. They're kind of wrapping them all up fictionally. So.
Right. So it's we are gonna watch Big Love again, but I won't lie. Big Love definitely gives me a little bit more of a trauma response than Sister Wives does, because Big Love, it just feels so like the way I grew up in so many ways. Like Corey grew up on the compound, where I grew up in the city, in the suburbs, and so that we did have different lifestyles that way. But I definitely get a lot more PTSD. Oh, that's funny. Guess who just called me? Living Scriptures. I used to buy all the Living Scriptures when my kids were little, and so they call me like every 5 years asking me if I want to buy any more stuff.
They're apparently not watching your podcast.
Apparently not. Oh, that's hilarious.
Selling heathens.
Yeah. So I think that so we will watch Big Love again and do that. Somebody earlier had said, what are we going to do now that the season's off? We've gone back and forth. We are doing our own podcast now, where we're going to be talking about our experiences and not just Sister Wives. And we won't actually talk about Sister Wives during that podcast. So we will be doing that on the off seasons. And then we will also probably do a recap of Big Love, and then and do it like watch an episode and then talk about it. And then possibly go back and do Sister Wives. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see about that.
That's relevant to AUB's Pinesdale. Or that's the Kingston group.
But you'll see a lot more of our own personal stuff coming up here. But even with like, Mary just admitted she doesn't even watch half the episodes. She watches the stuff that's relevant to her, and that's it. And honestly, I think everyone from the AUB watched the very first season, and then everyone was like, that's not, half that stuff's not even real. And then they stopped watching. So 95% of the people that I know don't watch the show at all, which we didn't until we started watching it to do a recap. I think this is the first full season that we have watched since season 1. Would you say?
Yeah.
I don't think we've watched any of the other seasons.
Well,
we've watched here and there.
I've been going through, and when somebody brings up, hey, go look at this season or this episode, then I'll go watch it. The purity speech. So, but yeah, we probably need to start from the get-go again.
Yeah.
I went and watched, I think I watched most of the first season because I was looking for the dog kicking
Yeah. So that's why we've watched, like, people have said, hey, have you seen this scene? And we've gone back and like tried to find that scene, but we haven't really watched like a full season. I think this is our very first full season since season 1. Somebody said, did your ex-husband ever go and marry after you guys got divorced? He's never been remarried. Nope. He chose a really, really, really hard life and has spent, unless you count Bubba in the county jail as his wife, then he spent a lot of time in jail. Sorry, I should be nice. There, now you'll see my petty side come out, my little catty side come out. But no, he did not ever get remarried. I think, like, we've been divorced for 25 years. We've been divorced, and he has had an apartment for 6 months, and that was the longest commitment he made, was to that apartment for 6 months. Other than that, that's it. He's just been a vagabond, moving around.
He was that close to getting married again, right?
Who? In the temple?
No. I thought he was engaged before that's why he was going to come out to our daughter's wedding.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He was going to marry that Mormon girl in the temple.
Yeah.
But he had to get out of jail first.
And a prenup. So.
He had to sign a prenup and get out of jail first. Couldn't get married on that one. Oh my God, I got to stop being so petty. That's so rude. Sorry. Okay, let's get to the next. Sister Wives is definitely trying to polish the religion a lot more. So that's another reason too. Like, we had a hard time watching it because I'd be like, what in the hell? That is going to be a fight after the show's over. There's no way that just got said. One of the things that has always pissed me off about this show was the 11-day honeymoon. It's like, that is so unrealistic. No one, I mean, I don't even know anyone normally who can afford an 11-day honeymoon. But that 11-day honeymoon, and then her insisting that she needed that, I mean, that right there should have been, she should have been kicked out of the family right there. What?
Yeah, it was, that's just why there was a speech about taking family resources.
Right.
Husbands.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Money.
The Janelle gave Robin that speech, yeah. Yeah, hey,
the other wives get a three-day honeymoon or whatever it is.
Well, Mary and Cody went to Cory's house for their honeymoon and spent a good portion of their...
Not my house, my dad's
Well,
house.
his dad's house up in Pinedale, because Cody wanted to see what it was like to have the full, all the wives living together experience. And so he went, they spent a couple of days of their honeymoon up at the big house in Montana where Cory's family lives. And so, yeah, you don't get an 11-day honeymoon. Nobody does. Why did it matter? This is my biggest problem with that. Cody can never leave Robin's kids because he can't leave the little kids that long. He can't go to Isabel's surgery because he can't leave the little kids that long. He can't do all of these different things. But yet, Christine had a brand new baby, and that was fine to leave all of those kids for 11 days. That's the biggest part that I have the hardest time with. And so when the rest of us who have grown up in this society watched that, we're like, bullshit. Like, that is just the biggest crock of shit. And I think Robin lost so much credibility with so much of the community in season 1 when she did that for an 11-day honeymoon. So many people instantly flagged her.
Within the AUB, because they were watching that going, that's the derailment of that family. Everyone was like, they didn't, to be honest, they didn't think it was going to be hitting 19 seasons of this stuff going on. So they didn't. They thought that he had to become more fair with the wives to have a functioning family, and he's proven that's proven the AUB correct, that he's doing it wrong.
Well, because the AUB told him straight up, if you do this show, it will destroy your family. And it has destroyed the family. I mean, you can absolutely see that, because people are now, so many of these things happen in these families pretty regularly, to be honest, but it's just not televised. And so it's easier to go on the down low about things. It's easier to go to the leadership and cry and moan and, hey, my husband's doing this, my husband's doing this, and that's a very regular, like, that is 90% of all their the leadership's meetings is, look what a douche this guy's being to his wife. Look what an ass this guy's being to his wife. Look what you know. And so it's like they're constantly having to reorganize or help these families that are struggling. They're just not televised. And so when Robin chose to televise that kind of information, and then she sits on the couch and says, judges the other. Well, in polygamy we do it like this. In polygamy we do it like this.
And she's been bending over backwards for those sister wives.
Yeah.
Is some
no.
of them, and everybody is like, no, she's been taking.
Yeah.
She's consistently taking. So.
Yeah. And so the fact that
she's hiding those, if she's bending over backwards, she probably should get more video proof of that and put it online. So,
yeah, because when he's talking about the dress, I picked the dress, and she was like, I just didn't think you guys needed to know that. I was stunned. I was like, this woman has a set of kahunas that she should not have, because she is never going to live this religion this way with that kind of attitude of, you just don't deserve to know that. You're marrying their husband, woman. You probably should take a step back.
But she's right on par.
There's my snarky again.
Cody believes that too. He kept information from two of the wives for 30 years, 35 years.
Well, so. What can they expect when Cody did the same thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you start a family on dishonesty and lies and having trysts that you don't tell everybody about, what else do you expect is going to happen to your family? It's going to just breed mistrust and...
Well, then he says, then he's frustrated that the wives don't believe him, that I'm just telling the truth. I'll take care of this or I'll do that. Well, we don't believe you. There, 19 seasons of reasons why we shouldn't believe you.
Yeah.
And so 19 seasons of Robin saying one thing and doing the other. 19 seasons of Cody picking Robin over everybody, over the kids, over the other wives. And so, good. Robin, Cody, go be on your little island by yourself. So
I think that they did the world a favor, to be honest, because they did show that polygamy doesn't work.
Yeah.
Not in today's society, not the way that, especially not if you're going to throw it out in front of the whole world to judge and criticize and pick apart. There's just no way that people can survive that. It's hard enough to be on the internet as it is. Like, we talk about pretty controversial things, I think, and we get some kickback. And I mean, we do. We get some feedback that I'm just like, clearly my page isn't for you. Thank you for your feedback. Move along. I can't even imagine the feedback that these guys get. Oh, I mean, here we are talking about it, and you can see that, like, they have to have some level of protection against the internet to not lose their minds, but then at the same time, it's like, are you so out of touch with reality? Why don't you just go read like any comment on any creator's posts about sister wives, and you're going to see how the world thinks that you're awful for the way you treat your family. So
and yet they believe they're living a higher law.
I know.
They justify it by, we're living a higher law.
Yeah.
So we can treat lesser people this way because we're living the higher law. We're the most righteous sister wife. We're the most righteous husband.
Right.
And these sister wives and wives are out. These kids are out of harmony with us. And if they were just listening to us because we're living this higher law, then they would.
And she'd come on as the expert. Yeah. And it's funny, my mom is watching. Mom, I'm always talking about you, but I do want to point out they're watching. I am fully aware. But at Thanksgiving, when we had both of our moms here, two women who have lived polygamy over 50 years of their lives, and they're both watching, and they're like, who does this woman think she is? She thinks she knows everything. She hasn't done anything. And so listening to these two women talk to each other was hilarious, because it is true. Like, that is not how you do it. And somebody says, it seems like the original wives made an effort to be modest with wedding costs. Sewing a dress, making a small party. Robin looked like the extravagant wife.
Yep.
Now, I think TLC's money had a lot to do with that, to be honest. But yeah, that was just a crazy reception and a crazy dress. No one buys a dress like that. Everyone makes their own dress. Nobody can afford to do that. But you're just seeing this kind of behavior from Robin throughout the entire everything that we've seen. She needs her own house. She doesn't live in the OG3's house. She needs all of these things that she spends in excess. And she's not modest with her savings, or with where all of the other wives have tried to be modest, Mary included. You know, if it feels like if Mary went extreme, it was more for the benefit of her child, not necessarily, you know, not necessarily for her own benefits all the time. And so it's really hard to watch that when you are in this religion that requires self-sacrifice, and you're the only one not willing to self-sacrifice. And then you get Cody on here going, Robin's given up so much. I'd like to see what she's given up. I'd like to see. She could have had her choice of any man. She gave all that up and chose me. Well, sorry, she got the booby prize. That's not our fault. So, am I being a dick?
No, that's fine.
Sorry. Let's see.
Yes, my mom and I've got some siblings that still believe in the AUB doctrine, or the original teachings of the Mormon Church doctrine.
Yeah.
AUB, LDS. I've got siblings that are within the LDS faith too. I've got siblings that are within in Christian faiths, and then I have siblings that are like me that have no faith whatsoever. They don't follow any religious faith. They're just good people, good solid people. So
yeah. Somebody says, okay, I'm going to read this out loud. It's definitely an awkward question, but I'm going to read it out loud. What do you think of the 69 comment that Cody said to Christine in front of Robin, and then giving Robin a sneaky little look? I have not seen that.
yeah.
I would be very curious to see that.
What episode was that?
What episode was that on? Because that is so inappropriate. That is like beyond inappropriate. In this religion, you literally, I was taught you don't shower with your husband. You don't French kiss your husband. There is no oral anything. And I mean, 90% of the time I had intimacy with my garments on, because we were trying to create the most righteous children. And so that would be like extremely bad. What are you laughing at?
Your booby prize thing, that she got the booby prize.
That that Robin got the booby prize.
Yeah,
that's like, I haven't even seen or heard anything about that. That would be not good at all. Like, that would be one of the worst things I think a man could ever say or do in front of another wife.
Well, it's showing that he is not living what did they call it in excommunication? Unrighteous dominion.
Yeah, that's horrible. So if he said that, shame on him.
That would be a judgment against Cody, that unrighteous dominion over his family, because he's supposed to be the representative of being chaste, if you will.
Right.
If you can be that by having 39 children. So, but you're supposed to be doing it only to have children, not for your or their pleasure. So
yeah,
that's their belief system. Getting outside of that, as a monogamous, they feel like that we as monogamous, when there's passion, when there's stuff like that, we're living a lower law to their stuff. So where Cody's definitely showing that he does not want to live that higher law of as a polygamous man, because he's favoring a wife, he's being
that's horrible.
Sexually deviant.
That would be considered sexual deviancy, for sure.
Within a marriage.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, that kind of makes me sick to my stomach when I read that comment, because I was like, no way did he say that. Like, I've seen him do some pretty like low things and some pretty mean things, but that's mean. That's very mean.
He should have, honestly, the minute he realized where he was at, that he was super in love with Robin, he probably should have, but he doesn't want to be the one. I'm not the one breaking my covenants, which he is, based on their belief system. He should have just said to the other 3 wives, hey, you know what? I'm just going to be with Robin.
Well, he should have
been honest.
But he did he told Christine, we're not being intimate anymore.
Yeah, I will do my duty, but we're not going to be intimate. We're not having any more kids. I guess in that way he's going to keep his responsibilities that he had agreed to. but in every way try to push them away from him. So,
Right.
so
Right.
that they will break.
Like that hurts my heart
They
for
will break
Christine
their
if he would,
covenants.
if they would do stuff like that. And here's the thing: if they're going to do that on camera, what are they doing off of camera?
They're doing it all on camera because the cameras are following them.
Well, I know,
So,
but I'm just saying, like,
kicking dogs, kissing while your wife's in.
yeah,
doing
that
it
kind of
all.
hurt my heart a little bit. I won't lie, because like I've watched this happen with other wives where they know that their husband is being intimate with another wife and he's being very attentive to her and her needs, and because the other wife's not shy to share that. And I've watched the devastation that this has caused with a couple of my girlfriends, with a couple of people that I know growing up. Obviously, I wouldn't have those types of conversations with my parents, obviously, or my mom, but with my girlfriends, you know, and this is as I was in the AUB and I've listened. And I remember one time, I was so mortified because a topic like this came up, and my face went purple. I was so embarrassed because I only kissed my husband. He didn't do it. We didn't do anything outside of just procreate, having children in a very standard fashion. That was what we did. And I heard some gossip about another girl, and then her sister wife confirmed all that, and it was devastating. I remember going to my husband and I was like bawling. I was crying and I was like, you should see how devastated my friend is over here, because her sister wife's letting her know that she's being satisfied in all of these different ways, and it's like, well, look what he's doing for me and not for you. And it's just horrible. Like that's where this lifestyle can be so mean, and like that will.
Well, that's why it doesn't work. It doesn't function. It's impossible to function. Well, somebody's going to prove me wrong. They'll make it function and work. It doesn't work for me, and hopefully it doesn't work for us.
Yeah.
I'm very satisfied being a monogamist. So,
Yeah.
And loving my children, and I didn't need to populate the earth by myself. So.
Yeah, so okay, somebody says, I'm looking forward to your Montana compound video. I'm from Scotland and wondered if you have ever heard of polygamy in the UK. Yeah, the AUB actually does have a lot of members that live in the UK. And a lot of them have migrated over here to the United States, and some I think are still out there. I don't know for sure. But yeah, we will be doing a Montana compound picture or video. I think we're going up there. I think Cory's the celebration of life will be the first week of April. Yeah. Is when I think it will be, and so we'll be heading up there. It'll be beautiful because it'll be springtime up there too.
We'll show you guys the trailer court.
Yeah.
The cool trailer court.
Maybe we'll even get the exact trailer Robin lived in. Who even knows? That's probably still there.
No.
Why wouldn't it be?
Because they don't last that long.
Are you kidding me? Do you know how long trailers last?
Okay.
Especially.
I don't think the trailer that we grew up in is still there.
Let's see if we can find it. I think that'd be funny.
Okay.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, the big house is almost fallen down. So
yeah, the cabin.
Was the trailer still there.
They had to burn down the cabin that they. Yeah. So Cory's family had a big house that housed 7 of the wives, and then a small cabin next door that housed the other 2 wives, and they actually ended up having to burn the cabin down because it got so dilapidated.
Yep.
So, let's see. I know there a bunch of people in the chat are talking about Robin got doxxed on her Etsy account. That's horrible. Yeah, somebody says, I missed the 69 comment. Please share when you find that. Him saying he was flirting was gross enough. Yeah. Yeah, that comment honestly hurt my heart just a little bit, because I've seen the aftermath of what that does to another woman when they know that she knows her husband is doing this with someone else, and he won't do that with her.
When they've lived what they feel like is chaste and only had sex for 50 years and given the man children.
Yeah.
And find out that he's doing extracurricular activities with another wife with zero intention of having children, and she's been living one way. It's hurtful. It's
especially when you've been taught that that's like,
she thinks she's been living righteously and keeping her covenants with him by
Yeah.
only
So mean.
having the sex with him for children, and when she's decided, no, I don't want to have any more children, then there's no more sex, and yet he's having sex with
Yeah.
younger wives just for the pleasure of it.
Yeah.
It's hurtful.
It's very hurtful. And so what's funny too is I've kind of wondered like why Christine's coming out as snarky as she is, because that woman, I love watching her videos when she gets snarky about Cody. And especially on this last one where she's doing the preview for the spring, and she's like, well, just how close did Cody and Robin get before they got married? And I was like,
she says what everybody's thinking.
Right. Well, I know she does, but she's like, she hasn't in the past as much. And so some of
she's
the
like me, she bites her tongue every once in a while.
And so if he's saying that kind of stuff to her, like you can see the shift in Christine, where she used to look at Cody with like these glazy eyes, and she was in love with him, and she just thought he was okay and wonderful. And then he wants to sit there and be upset. Well, in Vegas, Christine had a lot of jealousy issues. Well, no shit. You wonder why she did. And so then you can start to see that shift in her eyes, where she goes from that sparkle, like Cody's wonderful, to, yeah, maybe not so wonderful, to, yeah, this guy's a dirtbag. And so I feel like you can see that shift in her. So if comments like that are being said in front of her, no wonder she's changed to that. What are you saying?
Well, give your opinion on why she's snarky.
Who?
Christine.
I just did.
Towards Robin.
Because Robin, oh wait, we just talked about this, and now I can't remember what you said. Why? Tell me remind me of what I said, because my brain was somewhere else.
You feel like that she can be snarky to Cody, and it doesn't sting
Oh, yes.
bad.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, because I think, and some viewers agreed with this one, I totally think that she's going to be as snarky as she can towards Robin in the future, because you heard Cody get up there and say, I'm sick and tired of people saying stuff about Robin. It makes me want to punch you in the face. And so she's like, if she says anything about Cody, he'll just brush it off as she's a bitter ex-wife. But if she comes after Robin, that's going to piss Cody off even more. And so in order to piss Cody off, she'll make snarky comments towards Robin. And so I think that's where you're going to start seeing. And I think Mary's friend Jen had well picked up on this. So Jen has already started to saying the snarky stuff about Robin, which is why Cody referred to her as the B word. And so I think Jen picked up on that a long time ago, and I think Christine's now joined that party where Cody's going to be like, you can't talk about my wife like that.
Well, it gets a better reaction.
It gets a reaction.
Because he said, I'm in here holding her hand, and he's in protection mode of anything. So
yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah, I probably won't be invited to any of their firesides. Doggone it.
Okay, so somebody says it's on season 9, episode 4. I'm writing this down. Season 9, episode 4. So
we do a video on that.
Yeah, I might do a whole video just on that, because that hurts my heart so deeply. Let's see. Is there anything possible? Is there any possible thing that we can say to a family member to help them see that they're in a cult? That's what's so hard, is because when you're indoctrinated as a small child if somebody says something like that to you or tries to sway your belief, then that's the devil tempting you. And so there's already countermeasures put in place to countermeasure anything that you do say to someone in a cult, because they really do have to come to it themselves.
They do. Because
all those countermeasures are ingrained into us as small children. Like if someone says this to you, my mom was converted. Her parents were not in the AUB. And so if grandma says this to you, then this is why. It's because you're one of the chosen ones. You're one of the special ones. You're one of whatever. So that's what's so hard to try to convince somebody that they're in a cult, is because those countermeasures are so effective. Because now these people are literally doing the exact thing you were told that they were going to do to try to convince you that you were in a cult. So hopefully that makes sense. So really they kind of have to see it for themselves in order for them to break away from that. And even still seeing it, I saw it. Yeah. I left. You know, I left when my little girl was 2, and I watched, not my dad's the current prophet, but I watched the prophet before my dad eyeball my little 2-year-old sitting there on the ground playing, and I went, no way. And that's what finally broke me and made me want to leave. But then what did I do? I had another baby who got sick, and I thought God was punishing me for leaving, and I went back. So it's really hard to do that.
It is. It's a long process. You get into, I was born into it. I was indoctrinated for 18 years. And I would say it took similar to that to get, and I'm still working on things that
the dogmas
that I was taught as a little kid that I see within other parts of society and things. And so when somebody's telling me, Cory, you should be scared of this, or I do not want to live in fear. I don't want to live in shame. I don't want to live in those lower vibrations of trying to convince me that I need to do this, or these are my 2 choices because I'm afraid of this or that. No, I have many choices. And so it's just pointing out. I try to do this with my kids too. There are many choices in this world. What's going to help you? I don't even know how to say it, but there are so many choices. There's just not 1 or 2. And question everything. Is this the most healthy for me? Does this make me a good person? And question people's motives too, that are giving you advice this way or that way. I love my parents. I don't believe in everything that they taught me, but I love them as my parents. But there's very little that I believe when it comes to their dogmas that they believe in. And I want to support them in their beliefs, but when somebody's using and abusing them, I just point it out. Hey, that does not seem
How does that make you
Christ-like.
feel, really?
Yeah. So, well, I don't believe in what they're doing now. I believe in what the last prophet told me. Okay, I support you in that. But they have to want to change. They have to want to get away from it.
Thank you so much, Just Scraping. It says, so glad to see you guys live on TikTok, or live on YouTube, as I am not a TikTok fan. You know, I'm really not either. I actually started everything here on YouTube, and my kids talked me into doing a TikTok because that was how I could do shorter form content and actually get noticed.
That's how we keep in contact with our kids. They send me a lot of stuff. So.
And so I only started a TikTok, maybe 10 months ago, just to do shorter form content to get it out there so people could start seeing me, because I wasn't, I was doing my podcast here, but I was getting 300 or 400 views, which is great. Like, I was very appreciative of even that, but that's really where I got my start. But YouTube is our favorite place, and this is where we would prefer to do most of our content. We're just trying to build the channel. So we still do have, or we're almost to 10,000 followers.
Somebody commented in there, we're getting super close to the 10,000.
I know. So thank you guys so much for sharing us, because we really do appreciate it. I started a podcast. I started doing my podcast last year, and just talking about my own experiences, and then we only started talking about sister wives, I think, in October, just barely. And so, but the podcast that I was doing, I'd been wanting to talk about my story for a long time, but then when a few of my dad became the prophet and a few of my sisters went public, I just decided it was about time to start talking about it. And so I started here on YouTube, which has always been my go-to favorite place. But TikTok just kind of got us noticed, and I had a couple videos go viral on TikTok, and which is funny because the same videos that went viral on TikTok have gotten very little interaction here on YouTube, which is interesting. I don't understand why. Like my one video on TikTok that has like 1.2 million views, I think here on YouTube has like 6,000 maybe. Oh my goodness, somebody just gave us, what in the world? Just scraping by.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Awesome. It's scraping as in scrapping. I'm sorry. Scrapbooking. Oh, I'm so bad. Side note, I had messaged you a tech question on Instagram, if that jogs the memory. I love you too. I have a court channel. I hope to hear from you. Oh, I will get, I'm not as active on my Instagram, as on my Instagram notes to self page as I am on my other page, my personal one, but I will go and pay attention to that. I apologize. I definitely want to get more active on Instagram. I just run our real estate site on Instagram, and then I do my personal account for our babies, our grandbabies. And so those are the two accounts I mostly pay attention to. But thank you so much. That is so generous of you. We have been, all of our, everything that we've earned so far, we've been dumping into studio equipment to try to get like more professional of what we're doing, because we love it and it's fun, and we love to, this is something that we've really enjoyed doing together too. So thank you. We're
taking speech lessons too, so that we're saying deal instead of deal.
Dill. Yeah.
Just kidding.
But thank you.
I like
that
your
is
deal.
so generous of you. Thank you.
Sure.
Let's see. Some people says sad people use fear and the word of God to do those things together. Yeah. I feel like that is.
It's interesting that you can read, that two different people can read the same book, the same scripture, the same whatever it is, and one comes out on the side of love, acceptance, caring, and the other one comes out on fear, shame, all of that stuff. So that's where we've been trying to readjust our thought process to be more aligned with love, caring, acceptance.
So that when we do have family members leave, then we can reach out to them, and they know that they will be loved and accepted by us when they do leave.
And even if they don't leave, I want them to know that I love and accept them. They are my brothers and sisters. They are my nieces and nephews, my cousins. So I love them all, and that's what ultimately should be taught, but that is not taught within the AUB. And so if there's any religion that's teaching fear, shame, things like that, probably not the right one, guys. It's not, this is not just taught in the AUB or thing. This is taught in many, many different religions of fear, shame.
It's not just polygamy. This is definitely a religious umbrella. And somebody says, I'm trying to avoid TikTok because I feel like it will feed my ADHD addiction too much. Yes, I feel that. And honestly, when the ban of TikTok came in, I was not sad about it. I was just like, please, I was okay if it went away. I've got about almost 37,000 followers on TikTok. So I'm not a big channel by any means. But it was like, then I could just focus on Instagram and YouTube and not worry about TikTok. So I agree with you. TikTok ban was not necessarily something that I was that sad about. So somebody says, we love you too on YouTube. Thank you. Yeah. Oh my goodness. You did not just do another $50. Thank you so much. Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
Now say her name.
Just scrapping. Yeah. What did I say before? Scraping? Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Just scrapping. I will get right back to your Instagram right after this. I apologize that I haven't seen that. Yeah, Instagram's just not, I'm running too many channels on Instagram right now. Let's see. So we're going to chat for about 15 more minutes. It's so funny because I get a lot of people who are like, your lives go way too long, but we could talk about this all day long. We love it. And I mean, we don't love it, but we love that we can maybe shed light on some of our experiences and what we've done. What is the largest number of wives in the AUB that you have heard about? Oh gosh. Probably 50 wives, I think. 40, something like that. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to think.
I thought my dad was pretty.
Yo, your dad's pretty high at 9, but how many did Rulin have? He had a lot.
Yeah. I don't know.
A lot of times they'll
that he's living with, and
a lot of times they will marry women who are they're already passed on, and they'll just be sealed to them. But at one given time, I don't know. That's a good question. I can ask around about that one. It's funny. Somebody
who I've known is my dad at 9.
Yeah, his dad had 9.
I think there's.
But no, I know of several that have had 12.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah, living at the same time. Which is funny. We did a live last night, and somebody, because I said, let me ask around. And we were asked the question, when you ask around, what do you know, how do you do that? Like, do you have to be kind of sneaky about it? And I'm like, absolutely not. We just ask. And if they want to be honest, if they know that we have a podcast and they want to be honest with us, great. If they don't, that's okay too.
Yeah.
I don't have any interest in like getting sneaky information from people.
We're asking numbers or.
Yeah.
I trust what my mom tells me. So.
Yeah. And so, and I'll ask my mom, or I'll ask some of my aunts, I'll ask people who are still actively involved in the AUB, hey, I heard this, do you know what's going on with that? But I have no interest in being sneaky or trying to like dupe somebody for information so that we can talk about it on our podcast. My goal is to be as honest and transparent on this when we speak as we possibly can. It's definitely not to dupe anybody for views or for likes or for clicks or anything like that. It's just really honestly to have a transparent place that we can talk about our experiences. And so if I obtain that information in a sneaky kind of icky way, then I feel like it kind of defeats the purpose. It goes right back to what we were talking about at the beginning of this live, that energy, and so that's why we're just honest about it. Hey, I have a question about this.
How I feel about a certain watching this. This is just my feelings, and I will absolutely admit that it's based off of the way I grew up and other people within the AUB that I have met and known and seen their pattern and get that icky factor
out
from them. So it's.
Yeah, Cory's going to take Mel out to a fancy dinner with these super chats.
Yeah.
We've actually literally been dumping everything back into getting, like, these microphones were stupid expensive, but we love them. Because finally people can hear us without having...
if we turn it up right and sit
close
to it.
If we sit close to it. We're both making out with the microphones. But we've dumped everything back into this, so because we really love it. So let's see. Never stop the dill. The dill. That's so funny. I like James, but he goes on and on and on, then I'm lost. Yeah, we actually just did a live with him not too long ago, and it went almost 4 hours. And by the end, I won't even lie, I was like jumping off this chair and running to pee, because I do drink the water while we're doing our lives, because I do get cotton mouth. I'm on a prescription right now that gives me the cotton mouth. And so somebody suggested earlier about I guess there's a cotton mouth spray, so I'm going to go try that. But by the end of that live, I thought I was going to die. But I loved it. Like, I love talking to him. He's such a great guy, but I was really...
I drink my nefarious coffee.
Yeah, Cory drinks his coffee over here, and I drink my water. Let's see. Wow, you look so much like Christine's aunt, who is an ex-AUB member and helps polygamists get free from polygamy. Are you related? I'm actually not... I'm not physically, like biologically related to anyone in the AUB, because both of my parents converted in. And then both of Cory's parents converted in. And I always tell this to my kids, you're welcome, because my ex-husband's parents converted in. So my children literally have no biological ties to anyone.
First generation.
Yeah. Now they do, because now, of course, my grandmother had 350 grandchildren plus, and then, like, I don't know, 180 great-grandchildren, something like that. And so there is a lot that they're related to now, but they were not, their family trees were actual branches all the way around. So we're not related to anyone. But she actually was one of my dad's first loves. Probably shouldn't say that, but she was Christine's aunt, her aunt. When my dad joined the AUB, she was one of the first women that he fell in love with. And so, which is funny, but, so nope, I don't have any blood relation, but I definitely grew up with her. I remember her. I know her. She's quite a bit older than I am, and so I definitely remember her very well. Let's see. Not too long for me. I find you all fascinating. I love how long your chats go. Thank you. I don't find Mel and Cory's videos too long, but James has got to stop. 4 hours is too long. I forget to go back. Yeah, we definitely, my 50-year-old bladder was like not having a good day.
Is that the one I got up and left to? No, we did another one.
No, we did another one. No, you actually made it through. My mom sat through the whole thing. Yeah. So this is a pretty big room that we're in, and my mom sat off to the side, in a chair with a glass of water and didn't drink any of it because she didn't want to have to get up and leave. She wanted to hear the whole thing, and she did. She sat through the whole thing. I was so proud of her. Oh, let's see. How would that even work? 50 money days, money. Oh, I don't know what that means. Sorry. I guess we might have missed some of the cotton. There's also a cotton mouthwash called Biotine. Oh, thank you. I will definitely do that. Because I'm definitely a talker, and I'm like an extroverted introvert, where it depends on where I'm at. I can be very extroverted, but for the most part, I'm like, leave me alone. I'm going to be all by myself at home.
I'm not a cottonmouth. If I stop, I drool too much.
Cory's a drooler. Rumor going around that Robin and her husband were meeting the second in command of the AUB. I was thinking, if that is true, they were probably too scared to meet with your dad. Okay, so somebody else said that earlier, and I'm curious who the second in command is.
I am too.
And so I don't know who that is.
Ask around.
Yeah. Mom, do you know who the second? If you do, you could just text it to me. You don't have to put it in the chat. But I'm curious, like, who that
would be considered second in command?
If it is who I think that it is, I have nothing nice to say about that. So I should just stay quiet. Let's see. Yeah. If it's the second, it's the one that you're.
Yeah, I know who you're taking. Is he's not the second though?
Yeah, I don't think that he can. I don't think he's second in command.
He
might think he's second in command, but I don't think he's second in command. That's why I'm curious who it is, because I would think that. Let's see.
That would be funny if they were.
Yeah.
We'll find out, because if that's the case, then they might still be in the AUB or trying to.
Yeah, because I've heard that someone else made that comment earlier, and I was like, "Ooh, I should ask who's second in command," because I really don't know who that is right now. I know who I think that it is, and so in the AUB, I've said this a million times: you make up the rules as you go along, all this other stuff, right? And so it's supposed to be by seniority, and so my dad was made the prophet by seniority. He was the oldest or the most senior council member, or 12 apostles. He was the most senior 12 apostle. That's why he was the next guy in line. So after him, I know who it is. I know who the next guy is, who would be considered second in command. But they also like to make up their own rules, and they like to jump over people and bypass people. And so then I know a few people on the leadership who think that they are a certain level, and maybe they are and maybe they're not. So I don't know. It could be them. So yeah. What are you reading?
Oh, just the differences in the AUB, the way that I grew up versus the way you grew up.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're going to do a whole podcast on that, because Cory grew up compound and I grew up in like the suburbs of Utah, Salt Lake.
I call it a compound because based off of Big Love, they call it the compound.
Yeah.
My mom calls it the United Order. They grew up in a United Order, a big compound where the church, the AUB owned the property, and people from different talents came on there. There was a dairy on there. There was a cattle farm on there. We had 13 acres of farmland. There was a cabinet shop on there. Mm-hmm. Everybody that was a part of that community was basically invited into that community for their skills to create a community that was self-sufficient. And all of those kids were raised in that community to work. I had to go work at the dairy. I had to go work at the slaughterhouse. I had to go work at the cabinet shop, so that I was gaining skills from each one of those to see which one that I liked and I wanted to work on.
Yeah.
We donated all of our food from our farm into the community store, and then we as a family could get what we needed through trade: the milk, the cheese from the dairy, beef from the slaughter farm, for our potatoes, our corn, our hay. And it was a united order that we grew up in, and I was required from a young age to work in service projects, in work projects, or even to learn how to work. We raised, not only had a farm, but we raised turkeys, we raised chickens, had eggs.
Yeah.
And when we'd slaughter those turkeys, all those turkeys, majority of those turkeys went to the community store where people could go and trade to get different things. So
yeah, they had a little store up there called Pines Mercantile, right? Pines Mark. Yeah. And so they would all add their, this is what we were talking about earlier in a couple episodes ago, where we were talking about United Order and how they do try to make a community. So there is a community here in Utah, well, several of them, but one of them was out in Eagle Mountain, Utah. And when that community very first started, my ex-husband was asked to be a part of that because he was an electrician. And so he was asked to be a part of that to help build the other properties. And we were offered that land for, like $10,000 for 5 acres. And now 1 acre out there is worth about $300,000. And so we didn't take it because it was so far out of the city. And he was just like, there's no way I can't work in the city and be out there. Now it's almost city center. But that's what they try to do, is they try to get a bunch of people with different abilities and bring them all together in one community. So you're invited into that community if you have a certain trade or ability that you can do. And so, and when my ex-husband was going to do that, we took the drive out there, and it was like an hour and a half away from the city center. And now it's like 15 minutes away from where we live now. And so, it's just different. It's just different. We'll do a whole podcast on that.
Yeah. I grew up on that, working on learning all these different skills, knowing how to use a chainsaw to cut up and split wood, and so
and cut down trees for reals. Okay, so somebody says, why did Robin get a huge elaborate wedding? And the OG wives said that they, other than the first wife, the marriages should have been low-key and out of respect for the other wives, because they did the TV show. That's the only reason that she got it. I think she still would have had something a lot more elaborate because that's her style. But she really did it for the TV show, and I believe that TLC paid for a portion of it, is from what my understanding, but I could be wrong. But yeah, that's why. Is it what?
Just because she says one thing, she's a sweet, shy wife, but she's the one that has to have the most.
She's a showboat wife, and Cody's a showboat, so they're perfect together for that reason. Yeah. Somebody says, is it common for girls to marry their friends' husbands? Very, very common.
Because most of them grow up trying to be friends. If you're growing up within this culture, you're growing up becoming friends with people that you think you would be a good sister wife with.
Yeah.
So.
And so, they do. And so it doesn't, like Cody has said a couple of times, it didn't matter if I was in love with them. If they requested me to be in my family, I had to say yes. That's not true. But if the girl did request, then, and you're already friends, a lot of times the guy will just be like, that's great. They already like each other. Sure. There's an extra wife for me. Chalk one up on my numbers chart. And then that way, it makes it a lot easier. I personally would not want to do that, but a lot of people did. The one that I had the hardest, wife. I was not a nice wife. But I was a nice wife, I think. Yeah. But, one of the ones that I struggle with are when sisters marry the same man. That I struggle with that a lot. And that happens all the time. Like, a man will marry 2 sisters from the same mom, same dad. It's funny because people say that to us all the time. They're like, why do you always specify same mom, same dad? I'm like, because she could be my brother from another mother. And so when people are asking, because then that's usually the follow-up question. They'll say, oh, are you from the same mom? So if I just say it, we're siblings from the same mom, same dad. And so a lot of times you'll see that where siblings from same mom, same dad marry the same guy. And I just think that is just gross. For me personally, I couldn't do that. But I also don't have a sister that my mom's got 7 girls, and I also don't have one that I'd ever want to be a sister wife with. But
So everybody asks, do you know if there's been people that have married sisters? Yes, my dad married sisters. I've had 3 brothers that have been polygamous.
All married sisters?
All 3 of them married sisters. So,
it happens all the time.
All 3 of my brothers that have been married in the AUB married sisters,
Yeah.
and my dad married sisters. So
Yeah.
yeah, batting 100 there. So,
Yeah, thank you guys so much for all the suggestions on the biotin and stuff. I'm going to actually go pick some up right when we're done here because this dry mouth drives me crazy. And I try to be careful about it, but I'm always doing the chapstick and stuff. But and I don't drink soda or anything like that, so I'm just like a straight water person. So yeah. Okay, let's see. We'll answer a few more questions and then we will. What are you saying yes to?
oh yeah, they just. Oh, Katie's on here.
Oh, Mary says Brady was on a podcast recently with updates like the last few months. Don't recall what channel, but worth hunting for. His son almost died. He's okay now. They moved and and the family's intact. Yeah. So remember? He got thrown off a roof.
Oh yeah.
So I actually grew up with Brady, and a couple of his wives were my best friends growing up, and I ran into Brady not too long ago. We all chatted. I told him, come and be on my podcast one day, and he said I'm sure he would one day, and he said I could talk about him and say whatever I wanted and make up whatever stories. He's like, there's some creators out there who make up whatever they want about me and my family. Feel free. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. But thank you for the...
He is a nice guy, though. So
Brady? He's such a nice guy.
He's got a good sense of humor.
Yeah, such a nice
Cody
guy.
tries, but I don't think he's got a good sense of humor.
Yeah, let's see.
I guess he could be funny, but...
No, he definitely does have a very good sense of humor. Sorry, I was trying to see what that comment was. Okay, let's see. Proves Robin had no respect for the OG wives from the beginning. Not at all.
No, zero.
Not at all. What were you going to say?
She was trained properly, so...
So yeah, Brady
She's first wife material. She just missed out because she was too young.
Because she was 10 or 12 is what Mary says. What was I just going to say about that?
Sorry.
No, you're good. Brady was on the Growing Up with Polygamy or Growing Up in Polygamy podcast with Sam and Melissa. So that was the one that we saw. Yeah. So I just want to kind of give them a shout out. Yeah. I love and adore those people. They're so great at what they do, and they're just good people and very sweet.
Sam and Melissa are awesome. Yeah, probably grew up more like Sam is what I would, because he grew up on the compound down there. So
he grew up FLDS on the compound down there.
Yeah, and the United Order. They call it the United Order or the Order, and same with Kingston. So we'll go up and show you the compound that I grew up in, probably in April.
Somebody says we need a Whiskey Wednesday live. Oh my gosh, that would be Cory's favorite.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, although we did a live on TikTok one time and we had wine or something and we got flagged for doing. Of course, we're brand new. We got flagged for what?
You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't drink on live. So apparently. But that one is a really good one if you want to go watch Brady on that one. And then we did ours with them too. I think we did a 2-part series with them. One where we talked about sister wives and then one where we talked about our own lives. I don't know why our lighting keeps switching. Can you see that? Every time you lean in, our lights switch, which is weird. I don't know why.
And to be honest, people ask about do they go on state assistance, stuff like that. I'm sure they do. That. I'm sure people within the AUB do. I'm absolutely.
But it's not taught by the AUB to do that. It would be an individual family situation.
Yeah, we grew up on the United Order where we all put into a system, and that's where we were supposed to be taking out of it. I don't know. We also grew up with fear of the government, which is fine. And so if you were going on government assistance, you were being tracked by the government, and the government was going to give you ungodly food or sneak stuff in. And so we grew our own food. We raised our own cattle, did our own dairies. We did everything within a community so that we didn't have to rely anything on the government. They were expecting the government to fall by, it was supposed to be 86 and then 88 and then 96 and then 2000. They kept prophesying that the end of the world was coming and we needed to have a community up there that would provide for the people enough food, enough homes, enough stuff like that. And so it was the doomsday, where everybody was going to escape at the end of when everything came crashing down and the world was going to be over. So,
well, there was a prophecy made by one of the prophets. I don't know exactly who it was. I'm kind of guessing, but that said that in the last days, when Christ is coming back to the world, the men will flee to the mountains, and so that's why the Pinesdale community was created, was because the men were going to flee to the mountains, and they were going to be a self-sufficient community. So we were always taught, we were always taught to be very self-sufficient, but not everyone is, because they just get too many kids. They get in over their head before they realize that, oh shit, now I got to take care of 50 kids, you know. And so then they do. Some communities will fall, or some families will fall back on community assistance, but it's not something that's taught. In fact, it's quite opposite. You're really taught to be self-sufficient.
You're supposed to be scared of it. So
so somebody says that heathen government cheese.
It really was. I've kind of probably, I never ate healthier than when I
know,
did
it's so
growing
true.
up as a young kid. I mean,
our food supply now is crap.
Everything was made fresh up there. So I love Thanksgiving dinner. I love things like that, but I'm like, we raised some yummy turkeys. So my mom they haven't done them for years, but when we first got married, they still raised turkeys. And when the way she fed us
when we'd go up there, I've never tasted food like that, because we just don't have that available to us in our stores. And unless you home grow it, you just don't know. You know, we're having so many, like, have to pay so much extra for organic, and are you really getting organic? So that's really what Pinesdale was set up for, was for self-sufficiency. And the AUB in and of itself has a lot of storage, like millions of dollars worth of storage for end times. And so really it's not something that's taught. I would say we were taught really the opposite of being self-sufficient, being prepared, being self-sufficient, being ready to go if anything ever, a collapse of some sort.
And that's probably a little bit I have a storage room with food and toilet paper and all that stuff. I enjoy. Those were some things that, and I enjoy doing. I loved peaches growing up, because we'd get peaches and we'd put them away, and that was there's some good food that I still like storing and putting away. My brothers do it, so. It's
funny because we're always checking ourselves. We're always like, okay, we want to be prepared, but we don't want to scare our kids. So are we being, like, we'll go to the store, like yesterday, we were having all these conversations, right? We're dissecting sister wives. We're walking through Costco. It's like, Costco's dead, like there's nobody there. So we're just taking our time and we're talking, and we're like, hey, do we need more toilet paper? Do we need more of this? Well, we haven't bought this in a while. And then we're like, okay, but we don't want to be doomsdayers, but at the same time we want to be prepared. So we are constantly mentally checking ourselves all the time, because we're like, okay, is this a religious trauma that we're now wanting to buy like 15 pounds of potatoes? Or is this something that's like, no, this is logical, this is what we need to be prepared with, this is okay. And so we're always, and we'll make fun of each other too, because I'll be like, are you sure we have enough of that? And he's like, yes, we're fine. And that's probably, you're just being over dramatic. So but now, I mean, we do see what's happening in the world today, and you know, we had a stockpile of toilet paper. When the toilet paper ran out, we didn't have to go to the store and buy any, because we had already been prepared. And so we haven't had to do a lot of that stuff. So when COVID hit, we never had to go to the grocery store. We were totally fine. But so I think that gets overplayed, that polygamous people live on state assistance. I think that gets overplayed for the dramatics of it.
Because I'm sure there are.
Because I'm sure there are.
I'm sure there are.
So,
and seen documentaries about the Kingstons talking about bleeding the beast.
Bleeding the beast.
It's just something that where I grew up and the way we grew up, they they didn't even want the government to know we were up there. So
Yeah.
and what we were doing. So it was
Yeah.
more secretive of the way we were growing up.
Yeah.
And so I know that growing up there, they did a documentary, and my parents kept us home when the news people were up there because they didn't want the.
Oh, that's the same
they didn't
documentary
want-
I am in.
Yeah, that you're in.
Yeah.
We weren't even allowed to go outside because they didn't want. They knew that the film crews were up there
Oh, that's funny.
doing it. So I'll probably take up my camera and be filming up there, and
They won't
you'll
be
see
happy.
people scattering and hiding.
And all the people who
So-
are watching our video are going to be like, we're going to watch for those people that they're not going to record in Pinestyle for us. Oh, Peaceful Pastures Sanctuary says, we're ranchers and we only get to town once a month. We have always canned our own food.
Yeah.
See, we did too.
Yeah, I lived
I did
off
for
of
years.
that.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we are such a quick, easy society. Jump in the car, run to oh, shoot, I need a pound of chicken. You jump in the car, you run to the store, and you grab your pound of chicken. People don't know, like younger generations don't know where that chicken actually came from.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we have lost that touch with the earth. So that's one of the reasons why I feel like there's so much disrespect for the earth anymore, is because we've lost that touch with the earth.
So because of that, I appreciate the way I grew up. I know
That's another soapbox, though.
I know how to grow a garden. I know how to take care of a garden. I grow my own food. We put away our own stuff. We've got strawberries out there. We've got different things.
Yeah.
We try to support local farmers, things like that.
Yeah, we shop local as much as we can.
Yep.
And then
I have siblings that are professionals that
I know. I'm like, they put us, like, we know
such
nothing.
good food.
We
Yeah,
are,
they put
yeah.
us to shame. I've got food storage that they put together for me, and we get some of that. So I appreciate the way we grew up.
It's funny, our granddaughter, when she was 3, I went and bought a gardening kit and then went and bought some gardening boxes so that they were easier for her to get in and out of. And so every year we've done snap peas and and strawberries in these boxes. And then we bought a tree that died. We have to go buy a new one, but we bought a tree that was the same age as her, a peach tree, so that she could watch it grow as she grows. And so now that our next one is almost 2, we're going to go get her a tree and plant it in our backyard so that we can harvest the fruit off that trees and can it when they get older. But then the tree is always the same age as they are as they get older, because I want them to know and have those skills when they get older. You know, it might never be relevant. They might never need those skills, but it's just something that they can also say, oh, look, that's the tree. That tree is the same age as I am, and they know how old it is. And so it's just kind of something fun for us to do. And then it's always fun when, like, I keep the girls a couple days a week, and it's fun for them to go in the backyard and just pick their snacks for the day. And then they just go pick a bunch of snap peas and strawberries. But it's just been kind of fun, something we wanted to teach our kids. So just being prepared. But that was a long tangent off of people go into food store or people live off the government. But I think it's always good to be prepared. I think it's always responsible to be prepared. And there's not, just like in any religion, you're going to find people who are less responsible than others. And you're going to find people who are less prepared than others. And that's just, and whenever you get like a extreme religion or a fringe religion, you're going to find fanatical people who join that religion. And they're always going to give a bad name to everyone else in that religion because they're lazy or they're fanatic. They're just so fanatical that they make everyone else look bad, and that's not necessarily the entirety of the group. So yeah, I did see the name of the number 2. I don't think that's the number 2, but I could be wrong. I think that person thinks they're the number 2. Somebody was like, Cody and Mary were meeting with number 2, and then they put the name up there. So I think that person. No, I tried to point it out to you. It's who we thought it was. You don't have to go back.
Okay.
But yeah, they think they're number 2, but I don't think they're number 2. And I would bet a lot of other people don't think that as well. But that person just thinks very highly of themselves and gives themselves a lot more credit than probably they deserve, in my opinion.
I love that.
And I have to be careful since I'm directly related You what? When Cody said my pretty shy wife misread the teleprompter.
He misread the
It meant
teleprompter.
oh, he misread it and said it should have said pretty sly wife. Oh my God, that's hilarious. That's so great. So oh my gosh, we did go over because we went off on a tangent.
Yeah,
but thank you guys so much for joining us. We're gonna start trying to do lives here, probably every Wednesday because we now no longer have the show. We were doing lives on Mondays on TikTok, and then I was reposting them to TikTok or to YouTube on Tuesdays. But thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. But now we will be doing a live here. I'm going to start scheduling them out so that you guys can see when they're available, and we're going to start doing those here pretty regularly now instead of over on TikTok. I've nurtured TikTok just because we have such a big following there.
And we're going to try to make it so that when you guys do sign up for our lives, we don't go live for more than a second. Or we do go live more than a second. So
that was my ADD
we'll click on it
in.
and stay on.
I clicked on the live and I'm like, yes, go live. And then I'm like, it didn't work. Click it again. And then it kicked us right out. And Cory's like, what are you doing? So yeah, we had a moment before we got started on here where I was wrong and then Cory was wrong. And then it was just like, okay, fine. Cory's like, I was not wrong. I'm never wrong. So thank you guys so much for being here. We really do appreciate it. And we appreciate all the support. If you guys
are amazing.
One of our goals is still to hit 10,000 followers. We're close. So yeah, if you feel like sharing our account or sharing our information with other people, we really appreciate that too. Yeah. And then thank you guys so much, everybody. Thank you so much for all the gifts that you guys have given us today. We really, really do appreciate those shout outs. Elizabeth, thank you for that last one. And I will get back to anyone who has messaged me on Instagram. I will be better about that. I have been so poor at Instagram. But watch for our next one. We will be doing another live here. Hopefully we can do one this weekend. We have a pretty slow going weekend so far. So I'm kind of thinking we might try to just do like a random Friday night or something. So, all right. Thank you guys all so much. We appreciate it. Have a wonderful Wednesday.